Welcome to the Purpose Focused Advisor. This show is for financial advisors who want to grow their business with clarity, lead with purpose, and build a life that reflects what matters most.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Purpose Focused Advisor. Rob Brown here. Today, I want to spend some time talking about shift number 1 of the 8 shifts of a purpose-focused advisor. Specifically, moving from the pressure to perform to the freedom to serve. Stop and ask yourself a question here for a minute or so. Do you ever feel pressure to perform, whether it's from the outside or from the inside? Maybe to hit a certain level of assets under management, to build your team to a certain number of team members, to have that succession plan in place with the proper valuation so when the time comes, you get the most for the business that you've built. If you feel any of those things or anything like that, you're not alone. I think they call that the never-enough syndrome. You get to a certain level of financial success, financial wherewithal, and that's not enough. You've got to get to that next level. You have to keep growing. And to me, the reason that you get there is because you lack purpose. You don't understand the why behind what you are doing. But when you understand that why, when you understand that purpose, when you can connect who you are and what you do to what God has called you to do in your work and in your life, you gain a freedom to serve in the way that you were intended to serve, that you enjoy serving, to serve the people that you want to serve, to build the team that you want to work with, to be with your family in the way that you would like to be in your family. That's what I mean by moving from the pressure to perform to the freedom to serve, by getting a clear picture of what that purpose is behind who you are in what you do. So let me share an example of this with you. A few years ago, I was hired by 2 partners to consult in their practice, to coach in their practice, and help them create a succession plan. These 2 advisors had worked together for a number of years. They knew that they were working towards an internal succession plan. They had sketched out some of the details, but they wanted somebody like me who has done this many times to help them dot the I's and cross the T's and to make sure everything was in order, and also to make sure that the price was right, the valuation was right. And I was happy to help them. But as we got into this process, as I began asking them, why are you doing what you're doing? What is the purpose behind this succession? Something strange came out. The senior partner actually became very emotional. She said, Rob, when I bought this practice from the original partner, I felt hollow. I felt like I was just buying numbers and account numbers and clients, and I really wasn't buying a business. And I promised myself that when I would turn the practice over to my successor, it wouldn't be that way. And it feels that way right now. So I said, well, let's stop. Let's look at what it is you are truly doing. And we dug into some things that they thought was a little bit unusual. We talked a lot about who their clients are, how they serve their clients, what they want their clients to know about them, not only today as they're working with them, but out into the future as a succession plan takes hold. And what we uncovered is that they were truly a multi-generational firm. They worked with 2, 3, and 4 generations of client families. And they knew this in their hearts, but they never really said it out that loud. They never really thought about it that way. So as we spent some time talking about succession, we said, how do we make your succession plan feel to you like the relationships that you're helping sustain with your clients? And we spent some time working on that, talking about that, what that really looked like. And what we discovered was, and this was a little bit of a faux pas on my part, that the two partners were actually related and that someone they had in mind to come into the practice in the coming years was also related to them. So they, in fact, had a multi-generational plan, which was totally opposite of the plan that the senior advisor experienced when she bought the business originally from the founding partner, but was very similar to the way that they work with their clients today. So in building their succession plan, we said, let's make it a family-focused, a multi-generational focused plan so that as you talk about it amongst yourselves, among your team members, as you share what you're doing with your clients, you can say, hey, we are doing for you exactly what we're doing ourselves. They felt that freedom to serve through succession, and they lost the pressure to perform, to build a performative succession plan that just captured all of the details, but none of the heart of the business that they built. And now, as they're working together, as we're getting closer and closer to the senior advisor's time to step away from the business, it feels natural. The plan is in place. There's freedom on the part of the senior advisor to be able to spend now less time in the office, to start practicing her eventual retirement. The number 2 advisor, the succeeding advisor, is getting to see what it's going to be like to actually run the practice all by herself. And the third future partner is getting more and more engaged in the business. They're seeing it happen. There's real freedom in that. That's an important story. I think it's a story that you should think about when it comes to your business. Do you feel like you have the freedom to serve your clients, your team, your family, the causes that you care about in the way that you really want to? Are you being held back by that pressure to perform, to get the maximum sales price for your business if it's about succession planning, as opposed to aligning your succession with legacy, a legacy that you want to leave? And this pressure to perform isn't just with succession plans. It's also about AUM and production. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with an advisor who's hit a new milestone. They've hit $500,000, $1 million, $3 million in revenue, say, I want more. If I can just get to that next level, that next 500,000, that next $1 million, then I know I'll have it and I can start to relax. And I just watch that tension happen over and over again. But when they stop and they step back and say, I don't need to make more money. I want to keep growing my business, and I want to keep growing my business rapidly, but I'm going to do it because there's purpose behind those numbers that I'm going after. They get to that point of having the freedom to serve. So let me make a suggestion to you today, a little coaching application, if you will. Ask yourself, where in my business am I feeling the pressure to perform, and how might freedom to serve reframe that situation? Where are you feeling pressure to perform? Where are you putting pressure on yourself or getting outside pressure? And ask yourself, what could I do to remove that? Ask yourself, is that freedom to that pressure to perform coming from the fact that I don't have a really firm grip on my purpose, that I really don't understand any longer why I'm doing what I'm doing, or maybe not as clearly as you would like? Those are important questions to ask yourself that'll help you make that first shift from that pressure to perform to the freedom to serve. So I'll close it there. Take these ideas, apply them to your practice and to your business. I promise you, when you focus more on your purpose, your business will be the business that you've always wanted it to be. You'll accomplish all of the things that you set out to accomplish, but you'll do it with a sense of freedom, knowing that you're serving yourself, you're serving your clients, you're serving your team, you're serving your family, that you're serving the causes that you care about through the purpose that you have established, through the person that God has called you to be. And if I can help you with this, please let me know. In the show notes, you'll see a link, if you don't have a copy yet, of the 8 shifts of a purpose-focused advisor, look for that link in the show notes and you can download it for free. And remember, as always, I am rooting for your success.
Thanks for listening to The Purpose-Focused Advisor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a step you're ready to take, head over to truestfancoaching.com. There you'll find tools, resources, and ways we can work together to help you lead with purpose and build the business and life you were meant for. If you enjoyed the show, we'd be grateful if you take a moment to rate and review it. It helps more advisors find their way here.